Welcome to Live United. My name is Karen Knapp, President, CEO, United Way of St. Lucie County. Last week, we kicked off our 55th United Way campaign, and there were so many in attendance. We want to thank everyone who has supported us throughout the years and all those who are preparing to support us this year to raise funds so that we can provide resources and help those nonprofit agencies that are working on the front line, helping people day in and day have improve their lives. And today our guests are from SafeSpace. Welcome, Jill and Mitch.
Morning.
Yeah, really happy to have you here today. If our viewing audience notices the red shoes on the table, we're going to talk about those later. Very interesting fundraiser coming up.
Yes.
But first, let's talk about SafeSpace and why there's a need in our community for such an agency.
Well, it's unfortunate that there is, but we're glad to be here to serve. SafeSpace has been here, this is our 39th year, starting this month actually, and we provide safety. Our primary purpose is safety to victims of domestic violence, and we do that through an emergency shelter, a 60-bed emergency shelter, a 24-hour crisis hotline in all 3 counties of the Treasure Coast, a transitional living program, which is a long-term program up to 18 months. We work with children. We work in the communities, all 3 communities, all 3 counties that we serve with participants. And last year we served about 3,500 victims of domestic violence, women, men, children, through one of those venues that I just mentioned.
So your goal is really to keep the numbers down, if at all.
Exactly. Yeah, when the numbers go down, we're happy, actually,
right.
Because it means hopefully that there's less going on, less domestic violence going on.
Mm-hmm. Did you notice an increase after the hurricane? I mean, are you expecting an increase due to individuals who had to leave and spent all their money, and now money's always an issue? So what are you seeing in that regard?
Well, it's interesting you should ask me about that in reference to the hurricane, because victims go through hurricane of a different type each and every day, if you will. So while most of us sat at home anticipating the storm, where's it going to hit? When's it going to hit? Should I stay? Should I go? All those things that we were thinking about for a brief period of time, victims think about every single day. So the numbers don't go up or down. They stay pretty constant, to tell you the truth. And it's really about being able to bring awareness to domestic violence, what domestic violence actually is, because a lot of people, you'd be surprised how many people don't understand what domestic violence really is. And there are people in the community who still don't know we're here to help them and keep them safe. And I think, it's things like this that help us get that message across, so that there's no one out there who doesn't know, oh, it's SafeSpace I call.
Right, and domestic violence isn't always physical, correct?
No, it is not. No, absolutely not. In fact, it's more oftentimes emotional. It's emotional abuse, financial abuse, and by that I mean withholding of finances or controlling of finances, isolation, geographic isolation or isolation from friends and families, stalking type behavior, extreme jealousy. Those kinds of things are what we typically see. Most people think of it as only physical, but it is not. It's generally a combination of all of those things.
Right.
So,
and the entire family is affected.
Absolutely.
When family members see something like that going on, and they encourage the individual to get help, how long does it typically take? I mean, they don't just rush out and say, oh yeah, I want help. I mean, it is a process, isn't it?
Yes, it is. The national average is about 7 times. It takes 7 times of leaving for a victim to actually, begin to move on into a safe, independent life free of violence. But I will tell you this, there are women who go through a situation one time and that's it. And there are women that we know that have been in lifelong relationships where there's been abusive behavior. So there's no, I wish I could give a snapshot picture and say this is what a victim of domestic violence looks like. What I can tell you is that 1 in 3 women in our country have been, will be, or are victims of domestic violence at some point in their lives. 1 in 3 women.
Wow,
so
that's a
wherever
lot.
you go, if you look around, at least 1/3 of all the women in the room will be victims or have been victims or are victims right then and there. 4 women are murdered every single day in our country still. So it's definitely an epidemic, and it's our mission is trying to stop it and contain it here on the Treasure Coast and provide safety for those who need it whenever they need it, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow. And October is a special month for you.
It
Let's
is.
Talk about that.
It is Domestic Violence Awareness Month,
Okay.
and we have a lot of activities going on up and down the Treasure Coast. But our biggest event is our Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, and
Or his shoes.
Mitch is his or his shoes.
I'm ready.
That's right.
I'm on it.
And Mitch is actually one of our co-chairs, and Mitch, maybe you want to share a little bit about that?
Well, it's been doing this for a couple of years, and actually I got involved with SafeSpace because my daughter was a resident for a while, and they just kind of sucked me in after I saw what they were able to do for her. So if I said, gee, all I have to do is walk in a pair of red high heels to help anybody else out, I'm happy to do it. So now we have our walks coming up starting in Martin County this Saturday in downtown Stewart. And then we're going to do it again in Port St. Lucie in Tradition Square the following Saturday. And for those who don't want to cross that county line, we're going to go 2 weeks later up in Indian River County in the Indian River Mall. So there's no excuse that anybody can't come out, put on a pair of shoes, and come walk with us.
That fundraiser has really grown. Let's talk about all the men that really want to support this, because we talk about the bad spouse, but let's talk about those wonderful men that are out there supporting
Well,
your
that was
program.
the whole reason we wanted to bring this event here to the Treasure Coast. It is a national event, by the way. It is occurring all over the world. It's not just here on the Treasure Coast, but we wanted to highlight good men because, I truly believe, we all truly believe that there are many more good men out there than there are bad. And there are a lot of men that are willing and want to stand up and help us, be able to deal with this situation in our communities. So this was a way for us to bring men to the table, if you will, by walking. And it has grown. I think our first walk we may have had 80 people, and last year we had over 600 people out in Fort Pierce. Now last year we only did 1 walk, but we've gone back to doing the 3 walks because we think each county wanted to have their own walk. So we're happy to do whatever each county wants us to do. And now it's expanded to not just men walking a mile. We have women, we have children, families, the Boys and Girls Clubs
Groups,
are
yeah.
coming out with youth in support of this effort and cause. And so it's just a wonderful way to get a really difficult message out to the community.
So besides walking and seeing many men with high heels, what else happens at the event?
Well, we talk a little bit about domestic violence,
Okay.
and we talk about what's going on in each community there. And we also have some fun awards that we give out at the end of the walk.
Yeah, and I think one person who is a county commissioner is up for his 3rd consecutive most, what's the, Mr. Maury, what did he
Individual
get?
fun, or
Yeah, no,
Team Spirit Award.
Yes.
The
So the
Spirited
Team
Award.
Spirit.
Spirited
Boy,
Walker
They get
Award,
very
yeah.
spirited when they put on a pair of heels. But, it's a hard topic. And if you listen to any of the backstories on the SafeSpace website or anything like that, you're going to shed a tear. So it's nice to have an event where there is some smiling and there is laughter and, all for the right reasons and for the good cause. So if you look back last year and the year before at some of the pictures that have been posted on Facebook and social media, it's a fun event. I mean, people get into it, they dress up, and they have fun. And the women come out and they bring their husbands and they bring their work partners, and we're still looking for teams that want to come and be part of it. So.
And they bring signs. Everybody waves signs, and they chant and yell, and
So it's fun.
It's just fun.
It
It
is.
is fun. It
It
is
is.
a lot of, like I said, it's a fun way to get out a really tough message.
Right.
And bring people together for this important cause.
So Mitch, you were saying that you had a family member who was took advantage of the services of SafeSpace. How was it for you as a family member, besides being very grateful? I mean,
It was hard because SafeSpace offered a service that I, as a parent, could not. Whatever was going on in her life, I couldn't have that around other kids and other family members. So this was perfect because it got her away from the situation she was in, and it was also the last stop before her path got to be a great path. So that's why I credit SafeSpace with all the good
oh,
stuff.
that's wonderful. And you talked about earlier about an 18-month program. So some are in there for a short period of time, but others are in there for a longer length of time. Let's talk about those services you provide. And
The emergency shelter is 6 to 8 weeks is the average length of stay, and we serve women and children there. What we were finding over time is that there are long-term transitional programs for women with children on the Treasure Coast, Miss Hope Family Center in Vero Beach, the Samaritan Center, but there were no programs for women who didn't have children. And those were the women that we found were returning to their batterers more frequently than any other population. So it was a gap in services, and our board and our management team decided to fill that gap. And we combined our emergency shelter services under one roof, so our emergency shelter is now 60 beds in one place. And then we used our other shelter for this long-term transitional program for women without children. And we've been doing it about 3 years now and have served around 60 women. And it's up to 18 months. They have to either work or be going to college or school or a trade or some other thing. They pay a small nominal fee to stay there. They are required to participate in some programming. It's a wonderful program, and it's not being done anywhere else for single women.
so you always need resources. You always need funds. But what about other items of need that you might have? Clothing, or I mean, what do you look for or ask the public for?
Well, we have the best thrift shop on the Treasure Coast. I don't know if you've been there. It's in Port St. Lucie on US 1. And we will take any gently used clothing, male, female, child, shoes, purses, furnishings, household goods. Last fiscal year, we gave away over $330,000 worth of goods to victims to start new lives in their own places. So the thrift shop brings in a little bit of money, but it also serves the purpose of being able to assist victims start over again, because they literally have to get everything. So we'll take just about anything, and it can be taken there. And the address is 10011 South US 1 in Port St. Lucie. And
so we just have 1 minute left. What did we miss? I know this is a short segment, but what do you want to tell the viewing audience?
I think it's important. I always get the question. It doesn't happen here in our community, and I think people need to know that 22% of all crime on the Treasure Coast is related to domestic violence. So it is very prevalent. Over 2,500 arrests and offenses of domestic violence were committed last year, 2016, across the 3 counties. So, and domestic violence is only reported about 50% of the time. So you could double that number. It is happening. It's probably happening with people that your friends, family, neighbors. Let people know we're here. The more people know we're here, the more opportunities we have to keep people safe and free from harm.
Well, I want to thank you for all that you do, and thank you, Mitch, for supporting such a wonderful agency.
Absolutely.
United Way.
And come walk with us.
Yes, United Way is very proud to support, your fine agency.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
And we'll be right back.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles.
Everybody bring it in.
I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out.
How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork?
I help keep kids in school,
Good.
and that's the name of the game.
My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United.
Hi, welcome back. We have another program that United Way funds, United Against Poverty, and welcome,
Thank
Dona.
you.
We're happy to have you here with us. I know that y'all are very busy right now with fundraising and event planning, but we're happy that you stopped in here so that we can talk to you a little bit about the UP Center, United Against Poverty. I want to say that clearly.
Yeah.
But that's short for the UP Center is short for United Against Poverty, and what you do at the UP Center is very important to those who are in need of direct services.
Absolutely.
And those who are living in poverty, but not just poverty, those who are living from paycheck to paycheck. And that's
Yes.
many people in our community, you know, from service community to teachers. There are so many people that take advantage of the program you run, especially your grocery program.
Yes, they do.
And let's talk a little bit about what happens at the UP Center.
Okay. Well, surprisingly enough, you were just saying there's so many different types of people who use our programs. The latest Alice report tells us that more than 45% of the people living in the state of Florida fall below 200% of the poverty level for income. That's a very, very significant number because that is the clientele that we are reaching out to. Government subsidies such as food stamps, Medicaid, that sort of thing are figured at 100% of the poverty level. That's the federal standard. And when this program was first designed, we realized that there were numerous people who were living on extremely fixed incomes, disability checks, perhaps a Social Security check that is reflecting a minimum wage job for a lifetime. And people were having a very difficult time deciding between medication and food, paying the utility bill and food, putting gas in the car and food. So we decided to make our limit at 200% of the poverty level. Many people make just $10, $15 a month too much to qualify for food stamps, which in effect makes them more poor than the people that do qualify for that subsidy. So when we designed the main program that you see when you walk through the door, our MemberShare grocery program, we designed it for these people, everyone under 200% of the poverty level. And that accounts for 400 to 500 people a day going through our program to access affordable, healthy, fresh food at a price that they can afford, which we label as a handling fee. Because we're a nonprofit, we obtain the product through donations, through partnerships with places like Walmart, Walgreens, Publix, Winn-Dixie, Bimbo, Goya, Pepsi, Tropicana, and we access their product for a handling fee. We in turn turn it around and offer it to our membership for a handling fee, which right now works out to be about 37 cents on the dollar compared to a commercial grocery store. So if you're a family that's getting maybe a $120 food stamp check every month, and you're trying to make that stretch to be your entire food budget, which was not the original intent of food stamps, you go to Publix, you go to Winn-Dixie, you go to any commercial grocery store with $30 a week, and you are not going to walk out with enough food to feed a family. If you get a membership in our MemberShare grocery program, which is a social service program to help lift people out of poverty, it's a hand up, not a handout. If you get a membership in our program, you can come in and turn that $30 a week into almost $90 worth of food, including several free loaves of bread. So this can mean the difference for a family of being up to date on their electric bill or falling behind, because the little bit of cash that they do have coming into their household doesn't need to supplement that food budget anymore. What they are getting in food stamps or what they have set aside as their food budget can actually be stretched for the month.
Right. Your customers, they come from all over the county,
Absolutely.
So not only are they from Fort Pierce, but they are also from Port St. Lucie, White City area.
Absolutely, yes. We have members who come to us from all over the county, and we do have members from outside the county, Okeechobee, Stewart, places like that, who will drive once a month and come up and do a month's worth of shelf-stable shopping. We find that a lot of our foot traffic comes from our neighborhood. We are located in the heart of Fort Pierce, right at the corner of 25th Street and Orange Avenue. So we are within reach of a lot of people that the federal government considers as living in a food desert, which means that they would have to travel at least 2 miles to access fresh fruits and vegetables and fresh protein. So yes, we are located in a neighborhood that uses the program every day, but we also draw from the entire county.
We talk about people in poverty and Alice folks, to help those individuals overcome many of the roadblocks that they're facing. United Way is funding Getting Ahead classes.
Absolutely, yes.
Based off of Bridges Out of Poverty. Let's talk a little bit about those classes and the individuals, the investigators.
The investigators, absolutely. They are not students, they are not clients, they are investigators, because that's what they're doing in the program. This is a wonderful program designed by Philip Duvall, as you know. Getting ahead in a just getting by world. For many people living not just in poverty, but in near poverty, that don't have the resources to weather 3 months of unemployment or 3 months with a tragedy such as the car breaking down or someone in the family becoming ill, are hungry to learn what they can do to help themselves pull out of this poverty or near poverty situation. And sometimes just going to a class and listening to somebody stand at the front of the room and talk at you about what you should be doing and how you should be doing it really isn't enough to change lives. But thank goodness that United Way is helping us fund this Getting Ahead in a Just Getting By World program, because this truly does change lives. Each class is made up of around 12 investigators, and these are people who are truly committed to changing their lives. They have to make certain commitments in order to even be accepted into this program. They have to be willing to state that they will attend all 16 classes, because at 16 classes, you still aren't covering everything there is to share with the investigators. And then they work as a cohesive group. We find after the first 2 sessions, maybe, each session is 3 hours long, that they really start to become almost a family. They're exchanging email addresses, they're working together to bring in snacks and treats for the class, and they're bringing each other resources. In the beginning, they each tell their own story, what has brought them to the class, what their life situation is, what their greatest challenges are. And then as a group, they start finding solutions to these challenges. This is why they're called investigators. And what I find to be one of the most remarkable things about the program is that maybe 4 classes in, they started investigating the resources available in their own community. Generally, if you are somebody living in poverty or near poverty in any county, you know where to go if your electric's going to be shut off, if the landlord's going to put an eviction notice on your door. But there are many, many resources there to support people before it gets to that emergency point. And those are the resources that they often don't know about, because people living in poverty tend to live in the present moment. Each day is a life unto itself. And each day they're struggling just to get enough money to get to the next day. So they miss the light bill one month, they think, oh, that's okay, I'll catch it up next month. And then next month something happens, and before they know it, they're getting a pink slip from the utility company. What we are impressing on the people in getting ahead is that there are so many proactive avenues available to you. Start using them before you get to that point.
It's all about prevention and goal setting, right?
Absolutely. Goal setting and understanding that you have to look beyond your present situation if you're ever going to move beyond your present situation. So we challenge them to go out into the community, start finding resources for each other, become acquainted with the agencies. Even if you don't happen to need them right now, become acquainted with what they offer so that you can bring that back to the table. There may be someone else in the group who really needs that resource. And we also try to empower them to understand that they have the ability to change their own lives, and they have the ability to make an impact on their community.
Right. In order to do this, though, you need resources, right? We've got a couple minutes left. So let's talk about your November fundraiser.
Okay, we have a wonderful event that takes place on Thanksgiving Day, early in the morning, so you can put the turkey in the oven and go to the event and then come home and spend the day with your family. It's called our annual Trot for Hunger, or as we in the organization term it, our Turkey Trot. It's a wonderful event. It's a 5K up at Riverside Park in Vero Beach. It raises money not only for the St. Lucie County Up Center, but for the Indian River County Up Center as well. And I believe last year we had just over 1,200 runners. They range in age from about 5 years old, actually maybe younger, there are some in strollers, and they go all the way up to runners in their 90s. And after the run, we serve sweet potato pancakes, and if you've never had sweet potato pancakes, it's worth coming just for that. Natalie's provides us with fresh orange juice and grapefruit juice. There's trophies and awards, and it's just a wonderful family event. I believe the run itself begins at 7 o'clock in the morning, so you need to get there early or call ahead to register. You can call either of the centers. Our number is 772-468-8543. Ask for information, and we'd love to see you there, even just as a spectator.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us. You all do a fantastic job, and I'm
Thank
very
you,
impressed. I mean, every time I hear from you all at the Up Center or anyone associated with getting ahead, you know, my heart is just so much hope, you know, for the individuals in our community who are really wanting to get out of the situation they're in and to live better, happier lives. So I want to thank you for joining us, and I want to thank you for joining us. And please, if you want to hear more about United Way, you can go to our website, any of our funded partners. You can call our office. Please think about donating and volunteering.